The idea of 1M, 1B, 1 million for 1 billion is creating a million changemakers, creating a million entrepreneurs who are impacting 1 billion people. The problem I want to solve is I want a resilient society that is not dependent on governments or cooperation, but we can take care of each other. And I think when you're in love with your idea, that's when problem happens. But when you're in love with the problem, you will keep going.
Can you point to one time when you felt that, okay, this is it, this is over?
So once it happened in 2016 to late 2015 where I got an opportunity to work in Andhra with the then Chief Minister, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu. I was working in a village and it didn't work out. We lost funding, we lost our sponsors, had to give up the team completely. So that was a difficult time.
So Manav, the place to start has to be cricket. Your growing up years as a young kid in Delhi, you've had a lot of stints with some of the greats of the time, like Kapil Dev, Ajay Jadeja, etc. Tell us a few moments that stand out as a kid when you were trying to build a career, a life in cricket on those grounds in Delhi.
Cricket has been a big part of my life, and it continues to teach me a lot of life lessons. I remember once I was in watching the India-West Indies match, and I was on the ropes. My coach wanted me to just observe the game because I was an upcoming cricketer and fast bowler, and I was right behind the wicket keeper, who at that time was Jeffrey Dujo, and Malcolm Martian was bowling to Sunil Gavaskar, and he gave a big bouncer. And Sunil Gavaskar, being Sunil Gavaskar, there's no helmet, right? He used to wear a cap.
He was against helmet.
Yeah, and Gavaskar just ducked. Like the reflexes were so fast, and Jeffrey Dujo just jumped to catch the ball, and he could not. And the ball was coming to me, and that was the scariest part of my life, right? Imagine if you asked me to play there, Malcolm Marshall, I wouldn't have played him on the ropes. So it started coming, and I ran. I was supposed to field the ball and give it back to the bowler or the third man. I just ran, and that was so hilarious. I didn't realize what it is to be on the field. So that was a big part of me.
So it was so fast that you were standing at the boundary line, and you still were not able to hold on to the ball.
At all. Like I couldn't dare to touch it, because the moment it started coming in, it started making this zzz noise. Like, and I said, I'm out of here. It looked like a bullet.
So that's why I think people don't realize Gavaskar, and this was in Delhi, in India, right?
Delhi, yeah.
Gavaskar played in West Indies against those same bowlers on faster, damp pitches, and he refused to wear a helmet.
Yeah, he refused to
the courage and the craziness you need to have to be able to face those bowlers without.
It was crazy. Like Patrick Patterson.
I mean, this was the big era of Big Four, so
Yes.
it was crazier than what we see today.
And on that topic, I think a lot of the young people who started watching cricket in the past 10 odd years probably don't realize the quality of fast bowling that existed pre-2010.
Yeah.
And that's why I think comparing different eras, I mean, we are biased here. Comparing Sachin with the Kohli probably is a bit of an unfair comparison. Just to cue this in, Sreejan is wearing shoes from 10XU, which is Sachin's brand now. So that's how big of a
Sachin fan it is. Yeah, we all are Sachin fans.
But I think, I mean, you would have a better perspective on this. How has that game evolved, and what do you think about Sachin versus Kohli debate that keeps raging on?
And who is your favorite cricketer, by the way?
MS Dhoni, any day.
Wow.
I of course.
Great one.
The leadership style of MS Dhoni, the silent confidence, putting the team first. I mean, amazing. Yeah. And coming up when it's needed the most. Showing up all the time. I mean, you can have a corporate leadership training session on MS Dhoni as a role model, right? Corporations need to learn from cricket there, that how a leader evolves, builds a team and do that. But yeah, the game has evolved a lot, especially the fast bowling, especially the format. And of course, I was very young when Gavaskar was there, and then I was I've seen Sachin Tendulkar made a debut, so he was 2 years older to me, kind of a stuff. So it looked like, oh, I know Tendulkar. I've seen him because the coach used to say, if he can make a debut, what about you? What are you guys doing? Kind of a stuff. So it was very different. Fast bowlers used to be heavy. Now they are more athletic and still bowl like 145. I also admire Shoaib Akhtar, Wasim Akram. Those are the bowlers I saw them bowl, saw them doing practice when they used to come to India. I was always part of it. And a very interesting episode was, we used to get food after our practice, and we were in National Stadium, right? And the coach will come to us, kitna chicken khaya, right? मैं कहा sir एक piece खा, कहता वो 2 bowler 50 chicken खा गए, right? And maybe he was over exaggerating it, but he was talking about West Indian fast bowlers who were there for lunch, and they ate up all the food, and he was talking like basically in today's world have a lot of proteins, right? Of course that language was not there at that time. That language has suddenly become big.
West Indies bowler already knew the protein trend.
Yeah, they knew the protein, and they were not on protein shakes, but they were like having chicken and mutton and that stuff, right? They were like, and we were like scared. Oh wow, that like what kind of a fast bowler we need to be. It looked unattainable. Yes. We used to be like, suntanned, weak guys, going in the bus, waiting for the DTC bus to come, and obviously diet was not an issue, but the very focus on fitness, the focus on diet, I've seen that evolve so much.
So coming back, Sachin versus Kohli.
Any day, Tendulkar. Any day.
we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
So going back to the early days, Manav, you were very passionate about cricket. So you played cricket the day before your board exams. How did that happen?
It's easy, no?
Cricket versus board exam was cricket. So, obvious choice.
It's easy. When the only thing you want to do is cricket. It's like asking a mathematician that there's a math exam and there's a cricket match. What would you have? Of course, he'll choose that. So it was no brainer for me. The way people used to be excited about IIT JEE, I was excited about cricket. So it was easy. Just that it was a big shock for my family, because the family is always thinking boards and exams and life ban jayega, set ho jayega, right? Kind of a, agar aapke 10th mein, if you score well, you'll be done. But
so did you consider cricket as a serious career choice?
Very serious.
And were you driven more by passion, fame, money? What was it that drove you?
Everything. Money was not part of it. Yes. As a kid, I never thought of money. Yes. And I don't know why, but it was fame. It was playing for India. I was more excited about representing India at a national level. I still tear up when I see a flag hosting happening anywhere. I just love that moment. I would rush to when the national anthem is playing, I'll stand up. I still do that. So the idea was more India, the idea was representing India, the idea was playing for India.
So it was a real career choice for you?
I think it was the only career choice. I didn't imagine that I could do anything else but play cricket.
So then what happened?
Reality. You meet these fast bowlers, right? You run away from the fence, right? Then you realize, no.
Yeah. So, and I think, Manav, you should talk a little bit about, because I'm sure there are we all at some stage, I certainly wanted to be a cricketer, nowhere near as seriously as you. I'm sure not as talented as you, but growing up, a lot of us wanted to pursue certain passions of ours, and then, as you say, reality happens. Maybe talk a little bit about what differentiates people who, let's say, amateurs, or people who pursue that as a passion or as a hobby, and people who make it the purpose of their life, and eventually that leads to them becoming a Kohli or a Tendulkar.
Of course, I was nowhere at that level. Talent, you can make out who's talented. Talent is not fighting to be seen. When you are talent at that level, you're consistently delivering, you're amazing, you're gifted in some way. Yeah. Of course, I was in love with the sport, but humbly, I was not gifted. Of course, I was great in school, great in state. I used to be called the prodigy. And the thing that happened to me was I started playing the game when I was in 5th grade. and it was more casual, and then suddenly started people noticing me. People thought that I'm doing amazing for my age. And then in 6th grade I joined like a DDCA camp, a summer camp. And that's where things turned around, because the coaches started spotting me. And one of the coaches, and I think that's where you get trapped, is one of the coaches came to my dad and says, he's the future Indian fast bowler. And this coach has trained a lot of cricketers who have made it to the professional circuit, test cricket, one-day cricket, and there were a number of names behind him. He was one of the best coaches in India, and he comes and says that to my dad. And then I am that person, right? So then you are in that container called I am the future Indian fast bowler. And in a way it's good, and in a way it's a trap, because I got trapped in that, because I always thought that I'm that good. And my, of course, game was good, it went, but then it started sliding down, not because of talent, but because of mental toughness. It's just not the game. You could be exceptional, but you could just, get wiped out in a pressure situation. You have to be resilient, you have to be taking all that pressure, and I couldn't.
So it was kind of what we in today's term also call trolling.
Yeah.
So a lot of that when...
Yeah, a lot of banters, a lot of trolling. I think it is a lot to do with who you think you are. Because criticism used to upset me a lot. It still upsets me. You can't change the basic wiring that you grew up with. But I didn't grow up with criticism. Like, nobody in my home criticized me. I was always the best boy in town, kind of thing, well behaved, doing well, respecting elders, everything. So nobody's criticizing you, everybody's looking at you. So, and when you suddenly get criticized on the field, when you get trolled on the field, it takes a hit on you. And then there are these pressures. I grew up with this belief that I will be taking care of my family. I am the one who will take care of the family. I'm the person everybody's looking at. People want me to do well. And when that pressure starts coming to you of doing well, sometimes you do well because there's no pressure. Right? Nobody expecting you, right? So I think a lot of it hit me, and the game went down. And of course I didn't do well, and then I decided to call it off.
So was it more would you kind of categorize it as lack of mental toughness as compared to talent or physical abilities?
I would say a lack of a good mentor. And I still strive to be the mentor I always thought that I should have had. It is just one person who just clears your head, right? Today we call them coaches, we call them high performers coaches, the CEOs hire. I think that should have been it, and I think every kid needs one high performing coach who's a more, I won't say a life coach, but a person who just clears you and sorts you out mentally. Not a counselor, but a performance coach or a mentor. Or a buddy.
So, Manav, I think cricket, given it was during your formative years and you went through this journey where you were the child prodigy and then reality hit you and you had to make changes, you had to give up on that dream, and as life happens, you end up doing something even greater, bigger, and you're doing that as we speak. That experience of cricket, and then subsequently you went and pursued engineering, which also was a very different experience given how different Mumbai is from Delhi. The culture is different. How have those experiences shaped the Manav of today and what you're doing today?
You can connect the dots from the future backwards. And now if I connect it, it looked like all that breakdowns was a source for breakthroughs. For who I am today, or whatever contribution I'm making today in my work, in people's lives, in the villages of India. I think that has shaped a lot of me. I always believe in that. I always believe in why things have happened, and using that breakdown for breakthroughs. I think a lot of that has happened because of that. Cricket has made me a lot resilient to pressure, to trolls. to criticism. Engineering has also contributed a lot of me, which is more on the diplomacy side, nothing to do with engineering, but the very fact that I work with the United Nations, I work with a lot of government people, I work on public policy. So I think that has happened. I'm a firm believer of skills versus degrees, and the skills I acquired, the life skills especially, has come from huge amount of it from cricket and a huge amount of it from engineering, and both were very uncomfortable part of my growing up and my my journey. Failure handling, cricket has taught me so much. Handling emotions, cricket has taught me so much, because on the field you're always handling emotions. You're always like you lose a great match and then you cry, it's okay, like it's okay to cry. Sports people, like so many batsmen and cricketers, cry, and today there's more open, right?
Yes.
Footballers cry so much.
Today people cry when they win as well. Lose as well, so.
Earlier it was boys should not cry.
Yes.
That's the philosophy I grew up with. At that time that was the scenario, right? Boys are supposed to be tough.
But listening to you also, Manav, it seems like you don't necessarily believe in formal education so much. The life experiences. More of experiential learning, and this is what I think you're doing currently in your current role as well. So what is your view on current formal education and vis-a-vis what you have learned in life and how that has helped you to be what you are today?
I'm a firm believer of the people that you are growing up with. There's a saying that you become the average of the people you're surrounded with. Huge believer in that. My life has been like that. It is a sum of, or an average of people I was at that time and I'm at this time, right? It just becomes so attainable when you're with people who have done it, who can mentor you, who you look up to. So I am not a firm believer of degrees, but if the degrees gets good people together, yeah, please go for it. Like the IITs and IIMs, I'm like, of course they are very prestigious, but they get the best talent together. I'm a big fan of working with good people, being with the best people, getting into the room with people who are believers, who are dreamers, who believe that changing the world is I won't say easy but possible, versus people who are always sarcastic, always disappointed. So I think if education gets us access to those people, I'm a big believer of that. If the education institute is just teaching you degrees and not life skills, how to handle pressure, failures, that's not preparing you for life. That's just making you another robot. And what's the difference between robots and humans today? It's the empathy, it's problem solving, it's working in teams, understanding emotions, understanding people, pulsing, reading the room. Those are, how do you get those skills?
And maybe in current institution setup, education setup, we do have some of these courses like behavioral science and but
like
we
in
don't
business school, the class that we would always bunk was organizational behavior.
Yeah.
Right? And in hindsight, we realized that was the most important course. We should have paid attention.
Yeah.
And when I was doing my anything in HR, we'll look HR. Who's going to do HR? I'm a marketing guy. I'm a finance guy. If you look at my life as an entrepreneur, it's more HR. It's more people development. And I skipped all of that because I'm not an HR guy. So it's crazy, right? How you think and how the world shows you what is more important. So I think as long as that is happening, when I do interview checks, I'm more asking people, tell me outside the classroom activities you did, tell me the leadership, tell me the concert that you organized, right? Because that teaches you much more.
Maybe a few years back, Manav and I had this discussion when I was thinking of putting my kids into school. And one of the areas where I wanted to dive a little deeper with you is what do you think about the more formal education system, especially the one that we have in India, and oftentimes it gets a flack for being more rote learning rather than original thinking and creativity. What do you think about this education system, and what do you recommend to people who are looking to make choices between this versus the new kinds of education system that foster more research or open-ended thinking versus what is considered as rote learning?
I would say, the education system has been designed or it's a lot improving, but it has been a very 0 and 1. Either you're good or you're bad, right? There's nothing called average, because average is like as good as bad, because you're not going to get anywhere. I think the education system is changing. A lot of good things happening, especially with the National Education Policy, NEP 2020, a lot of capstone projects and all that. But still, I think the people running it are still from the old school. And that is the challenge, right? Then, so earlier there used to be IIT factories, now I see Stanford factories. So somewhere people are getting confused. And I think if the education helps me or anyone discover who they really are, that would be a big contribution education system can make.
So Manav, on this, we see that the one good thing, at least I personally believe that the Indian education system has done, we've been all beneficiaries of that. And I think a lot of the Fortune 500 CEOs of Indian origin that you see now, it's the rigor, the discipline that kind of education brings in, and also a lot of analytical reasoning, not necessarily a lot of creative thinking or research-based thinking. Do you agree that is a good part, and what is it that it's lacking that we need to specifically introduce now or change now?
What I like in the education system is the rigor. It makes you go through a rigor. So I'm a big fan of early education and putting your child in a rigorous environment, especially reading, writing, speaking. If you take those as life skills, if the academic courses or the rigor is teaching you that, I would say that like till 6th grade it is really good. And after that we need a more open environment where you are making children independent thinkers. I don't think we are making independent thinkers today. That happens much later, and also the very fact that you can try it out, the very fact that you can choose subjects by trying it out. I love that philosophy rather than like experiencing it. The liberal arts structure is something that I'm a big fan of, because engineering student could also take psychology, yes. And that should be early on. And I'm a big fan of introducing skill subjects. And I'm working a lot with the government on skill subject in early years. And the government is doing a lot of work in introducing skill subjects, media skilling, AI skilling. So even before I know what is AI, can I just try it out in a safe environment? If I want to be an artist, can I try it out in a safe environment? I think that is important.
And I think that a lot of that probably happens when you look at relatable examples of people who are taking risks and it's paying off. And I think we've seen a lot of that starting to happen in India over the past decade. You see now, I mean, when we are interviewing candidates, we see a lot of them that have been founders or co-founders, and even if it's not what you would call as real stint at entrepreneurship, at least they're taking some shots at the goal. And I think a lot of that is because they are seeing real success stories of some alum of their college or school 5-10 years older than them went and started a company, and the company went public, or the company got acquired, or just become a large brand. Yeah. And that almost reminds you that if this is not someone sitting in the Bay Area that built a Facebook, this is someone right here. It was from my school, or someone who's just 1 degree removed who started a company. And if that person can do it, then maybe I can as well.
Yeah, I think we need local role models, is what Shobhit was saying, right? I think we are too fascinated with the Bollywoods and the cricketers, and we have limited role models. Yeah. But local role models are important. Yeah. One of the important thing, we all talk about successes. Why don't we talk about failures openly? Yeah. So when I conduct some workshops, I said, ask your mom and dad what are the 5 things they failed in, and probably they'll tell you 10. Yeah. Versus the 1 or 2 things they are known for succeeding. Yeah. I think normalizing failure discussions is important, because if there has been 1 or 2 successes in our lives, there have been 5x failures in our lives, right? So failure is part of it. just that we are glamorizing success so much. I'm not saying glamorize failure, because I've seen some people doing failure talks just for getting the views and being the Instagram likes, but normalize failures. It's part of it. Normalize stress management. It's part of it. Normalize breaking down.
Yeah.
It's part of it. Tell me a point of time when you wanted to give everything up. Those kind of questions are not even there. And the other important thing I believe is normalizing making money. Money has a bad reputation still. No matter how much we are talking about entrepreneurship, money making is seen as bad. Traditionally, पैसा बाद में कमा लेना, पहले पढ़ाई कर लो, right? We grew up with that mindset. And that needs to change. Like, my son is in 10th grade and we are thinking of putting him in a different school. We went to one of the best schools in Bangalore. And he's growing up in this kind of environment. Like, imagine always listening to me, poor guy. So he's listening to all these conversations, and the principal asked him, "What do you want to do?" And he says, "I love when people make money. I want everybody to make money. I think money is an equalizer. It should not be in the hands of a few. Everybody should make money." And the principal didn't like that answer. And so what he was saying was, so he wants to start up a trading company, give access to trading of trading to people at the grassroots, so that everybody could be part of the Indian economy and the growth. So basically, he was saying, I make money, and when people make money. And the principal.
That's such a wonderful thought, actually.
Yeah. So I think the principal was still, in the era of, okay, tell me, I want to have a patent, or I want to win some awards in physics, or win the Olympiad, so kind of stuff. So I think we need to normalize making money as well, and get the money discussion. Everybody's talking about financial independence, but the moment you take the wrapper out and say financial independence means money, and people say, oh no, money making is not for me, I'm an intellectual, I'm a professor, and that's kind of sad. I think in this new world, that needs to change.
Manav, we have to talk about this I would say a groundbreaking idea that you can be a proponent of, because you've been a practitioner. Normally people find a job and then they look for the girl, but I think in your case you did the opposite. It has worked out extremely well for you. So how and why did Intel happen in this whole thing?
So my life has been kind of a zigzag and follow the dream. And when the dream was marry the girl that I always wanted to marry, and one of the hurdles was how much are you earning? And Priya and I are more or less in the same age bracket, because we were doing our MBA together. Though she's younger to me, I just want to make sure I clarify that. I don't get hit
Yes. Don't worry, she is not a target audience.
So she's younger than me, but we are in the same age bracket because I did engineering, and of course, and she comes from a very business-oriented family where people are doing extremely well. And I was like the struggler, kind of an accidental engineer, gone to MBA just to cover up my engineering degree, and now reinventing myself as a sales guy, and wanted to be a CEO of a big company one day. So I was hustling. I was really slogging it out, and when you're at that level, you're not being paid that well, and of course my salary was not good enough to, of course, marry a girl. But she's coming from that family, and the family is saying, okay, we need to look for somebody you can marry now. And she comes up and says, here's Manav. And then Manav comes up and says, I'm earning there's X amount of rupees. I'm not going to name the amount of money I was earning, but one of the things that I knew, hack it, right? How to hack this, right? How to hack this was, if I say I work for a multinational corporation, I change the discussion. Just change it, right? You can't compete, because you can't compete at the business level those guys were in, but I can change the discussion. And changing the discussion was MNC. So I said, okay, before I get married, and the passport to get married is work for an MNC. So I started looking how to work for an MNC. And one of my earlier managers in one of my earlier jobs, Lokesh, he had moved to Intel. And then I said, I called Lokesh, I desperately need intel, no matter what I need intel. And he's not seen me desperate because I was calm, I was like building my career step by step, following a linear path. He said, तुझे क्या हो गया? I said, Lokesh sir, शादी करनी है और MNC जॉब चाहिए, कुछ भी जॉब दिला दो, MNC होना चाहिए, कुछ भी करूँगा.
And by the way, for the young listeners, I think we need to highlight that at that time, there were MNCs and then there was Intel. Intel was an incredible brand to land a job at.
So Intel was the premium brand. Everybody wanted to work for Intel, and I said कुछ भी करूँगा Intel में जाने के लिए. So मैंने लोकेश को फ़ोन किया, मैंने कहा लोकेश कुछ भी. कहता है एक जॉब है corporate affairs. I said ये क्या होता है भाई? You know, corporate affairs ये तो बुक्स में भी नहीं पढ़ा, इसकी कोई डिग्री नहीं थी. Government affairs, मैंने कहा इसमें क्या होता है? कहता है तू कर लेगा लेकिन तू पढ़ ले पहले, सर्च कर ले क्या होता है, right? So I started searching and it said, oh, managing public policy, managing government, relationships. So I studied for that. I updated myself, and in weeks I was ready, and he put me on to the first interview, second interview, third interview, fifth interview, and then of course the vice president public policy in the US, Santa Clara, would interview. Made it, and but the hidden agenda was कि job लूँगा
And then get married.
And come back to sales and marketing, right? Because sales and marketing is where the money is. Sales and marketing where the brand is, right? Advertising gurus and sales and marketing gurus. I wanted to be in that league now. Suddenly that was the glam job. And that didn't happen. Of course I got married, I made it.
So how did the Intel career unfold? Because you have done some really amazing stuff at Intel. You know, you were in Egypt during Arab Spring. You did a lot of work in the Middle East. You also grew in the organization, started their training strategy and the entire training division and all. So would love to hear how that kind of progressed.
So I joined Intel with a very hidden agenda of money, MNC, fame, the badge called Intel, the visiting card called Intel, and the motive was to leave it. It looked like a very soft job. Go and work in a school, go and work in a computer clubhouse with an NGO. Right, go and work at the grassroots in the villages.
So there was no quantifiable KPIs to be met?
No quantifiable, it was just go and represent the organization. Corporate citizenship was a new word that came to me, corporate reputation, corporate philanthropy. I was completely, these words are alien to me, but I loved it. But when I started doing it, when I started going out in the communities, when I started working with underprivileged kids, when I started working with women who never got an opportunity, when I hit the hinterlands, it just changes you. It just changes you, and you said, what am I doing? Right? What am I here for? And when those questions start hitting you, that you are chasing a life which is kind of a shiny object. And it looked like a shiny object suddenly, the sales and marketing career, it looked like a shiny object I was chasing. And this looked like real. It looked like real world to me. It looked like when you change lives, when you are putting computer in a completely new school, when you are getting internet in a school which was also struggling to have electricity earlier, and now you got internet and you got computers, and the computers has opened up a different world to these children. You see the shine in their eyes, your life changes, things change. And it changed for me. I thought that this is where I want to spend the rest of my life.
It became more meaningful for you.
It became meaningful, it became very purpose driven.
Is it around this time that you would say that you started to find your purpose in life as well?
Still not, but I started loving the job, not liking the job. There was a meaning to the job. It looked like I could make a big company understand what was happening at the grassroots, because I could bridge that gap. I started working with the governments. I started working with the IS officers. Suddenly you'll look like, what is it to be a leader in a country like India, and with so many languages, so many religions, so many understandings, culture, right, thought processes. I got introduced to India through this job, and I thank Intel for giving me that opportunity to introduce my country.
Indian to India.
That's right. So I think that really changed it. And I started mobilizing a lot of Intel's foundation monies towards good purposes, starting a community center, starting a computer center, working on higher education, giving scholarships to people.
And the zones, Manav, that you were working in, a lot of it was in the Middle East, in places like Egypt, I think Lebanon, Jordan, etc. If you are going there to do good, were you also met with some skepticism? Did you find that this was not a straight line? Sometimes there'll be pushback, sometimes there'll be... Was there a time when you realized that what I'm doing actually is not a desk job, it's quite dangerous?
Many times it has happened, many times. I'll give you two examples of, and I have this kind of stupid skill that I don't sense danger. I think that's a blessing, but it's one of the things I don't get it. I don't get it.
Except when Malcolm Marshall's ball came.
But the other way to look at it is you find good in people.
Yeah.
You feel that any situation you can manage, you can trust people, and you trust yourself to handle those situations.
Into the waters without knowing is it hot water, cold water, or what kind of water it is. I have this ability and this skill to just get into it. There's a thing called thinking through skill. You should think it through. I don't have that. I don't have that thinking through skills, because if I had thought through, I won't have done anything what I am doing right now. And sometimes I believe that thinking through skills are good for process people, good for technical jobs, good for ops job. But when you're doing something developmental, when you're doing something creative, creativity comes in when you're not thinking through. So I didn't think through, and I landed up in a so starting from India, I was I was being taken as because I used to do a lot of field trips because I love the grassroots. So in one of my Intel assignments, I said I had given money to one foundation in Jharkhand, and I landed up in Ranchi.
MS Dhoni.
Oh yeah, MS Dhoni. At that time, MS Dhoni was not there, but so I landed up in Jharkhand with my backpack, with laptop. I'm an executive, right? With my coffee mug, kind of because I'm the dude, the MNC dude, right? And then I'm walking, and वो एक NGO, the one at NGO, वो एक जना आया, this guy comes to me and says, "Sir, can you take the backpack down and just give it to me?" I said, "Why?" He said, "The tribals will take you. Won't even ask questions. You will be kidnapped and you will be taken away into the jungles because you are the big city person who troubles them."
Oh wow.
And I didn't realize that I was like in the middle of a trek, and he said, I said, "मैं कहाँ गया यार?" Yeah, so you're talking about people who are following their own rules, and suddenly you're going in the trenches. You're going to a school which is right in the forest areas, which has some of these people who are anti-city people, and you're working with them. So I then had to make sure that I'm dressed like any other person in the NGO and not giving up my MNC attires. So that is when I thought that, oh, I'm into something that I didn't realize what it is. The other thing happened in, again, one of the villages in Andhra, where I was working, got into a big village conflict because people thought that we had started a job center. We started a skill development center, so that, like the big dream is that AI should be available to people in the villages, right? Not just the cities. So all the big skill sets should also be, because that's the way we'll equalize. AI as an equalizer is a big passion that I have. So when I was working on this one fascinating project, we got into a conflict, and people thought that we are from some political party trying to do this as a political campaign because we want to run elections. And one of our team members got a death threat. And that's when you realize that I'm in a different land altogether. And there's the laws in the villages are different. They don't follow There are different rules, and that's a different India. And suddenly you realize I'm in a different India.
But you find ways to work through that. I suppose, I mean, all these, both these stints in Jharkhand or in Andhra, I suppose they were successful. And I refer to my sister who works for UN as well. And so she is in social kind of sector, and she is based out of Kabul. So she is working closely with the Taliban people for girls' education, child education. And you need to find a way to work with these people who you may not understand from outside in.
Yeah, completely. And that human to human connection, I think that should be the, so when now I go to any village or any place, I first build trust in the community. So building trust is important, building relationship is important, and it becomes even more important when you're working at the grassroots level. A big example, let me, I got an opportunity to work in Intel on an initiative President Obama at that time. He came up with a request to all the MNCs in America that they want the multinationals to do some peacekeeping work in the Arab world. And one of the things that I was a strong proponent of was jobs. That just not teach skills, but let's teach them entrepreneurial mindset and help them create their own jobs. Like not the startup category, high tech, high growth. No, one man, two women.
I mean, not everyone has to be employee. I mean, you can become employers.
Yeah, you can start the internet and start a bakery business. You can start a flower delivery service. Like internet based micro enterprises. And suddenly the person in Intel who was doing this and was only talking jobs was me, and this assignment came to me. And this was, so I did a lot of work in the Arab world during the Arab Spring at that time. And one story I would like to share is, I used to hire these fancy trainers from Silicon Valley and send them do training, and people used to love it. And suddenly, there are people from the US coming and training you. And then the Arab Spring happened, and there was a huge conflict in Cairo, and we had to go to Cairo to do a training for young people.
Right in the middle of Arab Spring.
Right in the middle of Arab Spring.
Oh, wow.
And then this trainer, he decided not to, because he thought it's
Too dangerous.
I just told him, can you train me to be a trainer? So he was kind enough to teach me, and I landed up in Cairo during the Arab Spring. And that was a life-changing journey for me and an experience for me as well, because that's where I completely pivoted from being the big corporate executive, corporate affairs, public policy to a trainer. And suddenly you're a trainer, it's not like, again, braggy, oh, you're a trainer, you're a professor, you're a teacher. Like suddenly we have created these hierarchies, right? Yeah. So I loved training. I was in the Arab Spring, I signed all the waivers so that Intel is not troubled, and I went there because it looked like I wanted to be there. And we were doing like a 3-day workshop, and one of days was on a Friday. And I was doing a training, it was animated, I could connect with people, I was loving it, I was just cracking. And these young people, they're coming up with ideas, and we thought that we've done, and then Friday came, and it was prayer time.
Yes.
And then suddenly, at 2 o'clock, they said, okay, we have to get ready for our prayers. And I said, I didn't realize that, the cultural sensitivity. And they said, okay, you wait here, and we'll go for our prayers and come back. And very hesitatingly, I asked one of the person, can I join you guys? Yeah. I was very scared to ask because I didn't want to be disrespectful, because I'm a Hindu and I'm proud to be a Hindu. But I'm a global citizen, right? I respect my religion, I respect others' religion, and that's what I teach also. Yeah. And I said, can I come to the mosque? And they all looked at each other. They found that strange, an Indian asking and a Hindu saying that I want to join you in your prayers. And people grow up with different mindsets about religion and stuff. And they allowed me. And they said, okay, whatever we do, you do. And I did that. And I loved it. And after that, the training went like 10x better. because I could connect. They thought I'm like them. And that changed me completely. After that, people coming and posting on their socials, that completely, and I became a trainer, and I landed up doing all the trainings in the Mid East. Went to Lebanon, went to Jordan, went to even Kenya, in Africa, of course. But that was another changing point in my career.
So Manav, do you think Indians are very good at thriving and doing well in such kind of difficult situations?
Conflict zones. And
Conflict zones, or
I think so. Working in ambiguity is our strength.
also the cultural differences which we have in the country itself. You know, North is very different from South, East is very different from West, and there are so many conflicts in the country. You know, I mean, North feels that, you know, South is doing well, or South feels that, you know, they are an economic colony of North India. I think there are so many conflicts in the country itself, and maybe that helps us learn the trait of how to deal with people, how to deal with these conflict situations, and maybe that's why we do very well in not only difficult situations, but also, as Shobhit was mentioning, I mean, a Satya Nadella or a Sundar Pichai, I mean, these are conflict management situations as well, you know, managing a big workforce.
But also it is because a lot of that generation, including ours as well, we are not young anymore, has grown in an environment which was very scarce. It was a scarcity mindset. It's interesting, it's going to be interesting to see how the next generation comes up, like your kids, for example, as they have grown in a very different abundance kind of an environment. So when you don't have that dearth of resources, do we lose some of that has been in our genes, or do you still somehow retain that? I mean, that's one of the questions.
No, we are in a bigger crisis today, the crisis of abundance, because sometimes you know, restrictions make you innovate. You know, stress, positive stress could make the best come out of you. You know, some of these experiences have chiseled us, right? Some of those breakdowns have chiseled us. But now if we are raising kids who are, and insulating them from the pressures, you know, I think we are doing a disservice. I think there's good to have pressure, and it's good to have a rigor. And I think some of the Gen Zs that I feel like they're getting it right. You know, they want to slog it out, they want to give it thought, but you know, they know where they want to go.
One really, really interesting thing that we have to talk about is Gupt Kashi. It's this small town in the northern part of India in the hills, and it seems like what happens after Intel. There is an origin story from Gupt Kashi. So can you tell us more about what's the vision and how did that happen?
There was no vision.
Like you didn't dream something and then suddenly like this is what
methodical लगता है, but it never happened to me in my life. It was never part of the script, but it just unfolded.
It would sound very cool if you say that, you know, I dreamt something and then
yeah, it is like, you know, just being in love. You know, when you're in love, you do strange things. Yeah, we all know that, right? And it was just love to make a difference. And when you want to make a difference, you want to connect to the communities. One of the things that I could not is connect in a local language. And since I know Hindi well, I can converse in Hindi well, and my maternal grandfather came from Uttarakhand, I had this love to give it back to where he came from and the land he came from, because of him I got a great life, because of the steps and bold steps that he was a farmer, he sold his farms, he came down to the city, worked with the British government, worked as a peon, right, kind of work as an office assistant, and then of course gave a nice life to my parents, my mother. So I wanted to complete the circle. The thought was that no, we need to go back and create life for farmers, because farmer suicide hit me all the time. I used to read in newspapers, and I said it could have been him as well. So I said I want to go back to a village, and which was a very difficult conversation in my family. That suddenly this guy is talking about going back and staying in a village.
And when you say family, it means your wife or?
My wife, my parents.
Okay, your parents as well, yeah?
Wife, of course, is and my son at that time was in 5th grade. So, you know, suddenly you're saying that, you know,
I'm going to Gupt Kashi.
It looked like I wanted to become a monk, right? Uttarakhand जा रहे हो, क्यों जा रहे हो भाई? Himalayas पे जा रहे हो. So I had to talk about what I want to do, and then we sort of decided that I'm going to go. So I found Rudraprayag, and from Rudraprayag and went to discover this place called Gupt Kashi, which I had no idea.
I know Kashi because that's where I was born. I didn't know about Gupt Kashi. So is it like a hidden place?
Secret Kashi, because Gupt Kashi is overlooking the Himalayas, right? And शिवजी की का घर है वहाँ पे, right? और वहाँ से आप देख रहे हो एकदम आपको हिमालयाज दिख रहे हैं, स्नो कैप्ड माउंटेन. इट्स वन ऑफ द प्रिटीएस्ट साइट्स आई हैव सीन. I've traveled a lot, over 50 countries, but this was so pretty, and I accidentally landed up discovering Gupt Kashi, which of course is a well-known town in Uttarakhand. And I just said, यहाँ school बनाएंगे. Yeah, this is the place where we are going to set up a skills academy. And I was in love with that vision, because I landed up in my discovery journeys, I landed up in that place, and I wanted to do that.
And this was while you were still at Intel, or you had already kind of decided that?
I had decided I wanted to leave Intel.
Okay.
I had not left Intel. My manager was okay with it.
Okay.
The good part about Intel was they wanted me to do all the stuff, but I was doing a big assignment which I was doing with the CEO's office, and it was a year's assignment. So they didn't want me to leave. They said you can do things as long as non-competing, but stay in Intel for a year. So I got like a year's time, but I declared it that I want to leave Intel.
Maybe we are digressing a bit, and we'll come back to this Gupt Kashi story, but just going back to Intel, and Intel allowing you and letting you to do all this, and especially for the young crowds when they think about their career, this happened because you had built a sufficient capital with Intel, working hard and proving yourself, that they gave you this flexibility to you can do whatever you want to do as long as you are with us and fulfilling all these requirements for a year. Yeah, it doesn't happen with all the organization, by the way. Not all organizations are as flexible to let you do something on the side.
Yeah, in fact, I believe that when you are want to do something good, people let you do it, but if you want to do something great, people want you to do it and want to be part of it.
Yes.
So one of the things that I would suggest is build relationships. And I'm a big believer of relationships, being authentic to people.
So Manav, how do young people do it when they don't come to office? This is an important
Not
question.
only not coming to office. These days people are glued to their screens. You have personal consumption of media.
And they don't have alcohol.
Yeah, and you can order food at home. So you don't have to go out to do anything. So how do you interact and how do you build that relationship?
Over Zoom also is good, but having a human connection is important. Having a human connection is important. Having let's have a no agenda coffee meetings is important. Just going on a stroll with somebody who's doing well in life is important. Just shadowing a person is important.
Alcohol also doesn't hurt once in a while.
It breaks the barriers. As long as you are.
Do you drink, Manav?
Occasionally.
Occasionally is what? 2 days a week, or occasionally can mean different things for different people.
In a social gathering.
When Manav and I get together, then he drinks.
Then we would have a beer.
Okay.
Yeah, good conversations happen over coffees and beers, right?
But I think that's a very important point, because if you want to build relationships, it obviously helps to build that. And at least the way I think about it, and Sreejan thinks about it, is that it's not just talking about work. It's also building the relationship with the person, the individual behind that designation, behind that role. And it's easier to do that if you're with them down in the trenches, in the office, late night sometime, doing the work, rather than just having that 30-minute or 1 hour designated Zoom call.
See, when you are doing ambitious things, silly things, right? There's I believe being silly is good. I always in my workshop say, okay, tell me the silly things that you've done in your life, because most of the things that we have done in our life that has given us big breakthroughs have been silly. Right? Some of the ventures that are big today are silly ideas. So I think being silly is good, and when you're authentically talking about the silliness that you want to pursue in your life, people relate to it, people get connected, because at some point of our time in our careers, everybody wanted to do that. Everybody wants to do something greater than themselves. We are wired for contribution. as human, we love contributing. We love making a difference in people's lives, right? We've been told through the education system to have a very selfish life, do good, earn money, build a home, and all that, have a car. And I'm saying that's important. I have all of that, and no compromise in life. But nobody tells you that it's not a life of or, it's a life of and.
Yeah.
You can have a good home, you can have a great car, you can have a great family, and still you could be following a passion which could be going out in the villages, right? And I think that is not being told. It looks like a sacrificial life, that मुझे झोला पहन के निकलना पड़ेगा.
Yeah.
ये झोले वाला stereotype पता नहीं कैसे बन गया.
But it's a very good analogy where you say, you know, we should live a life of and not a life of or.
Right.
And maybe for the young population, the Gen Z, they should, you know, I mean, in their life they can pursue a lot of things and equally be passionate about and be successful across all these different fields.
Yeah, and I think I would say, you know, when you're doing silly things, it looks glamorous, but when you start doing it, after 2 village trips, you don't want to do the 3rd trip. Believe me, because it's not as fancy as it sounds, right? It is Shah Rukh Khan ka Swadesh movie, right? aa raha hai, NASA se aaya, and like suddenly you gone to the village, and you know, when reality hits, is very different. The thing that I would say that has helped me is getting over my boredom. See, we all get bored.
Yeah.
After a while, we all get bored. If you're building something, if you're building even a technology, if you're doing something, if you're starting a podcast, if you're starting a channel, if you start building a business, after a while it's boring. It's so boring.
But you still have to do it, and that's. I think it's also important you highlight that you are not. You're the founder. You're the CEO of 1M 1B. But people think that if you're the founder, you're doing founder things.
Yeah.
But you have to do everything. Because you are the one who's running the place, and it's your baby. So if it comes down to opening the gate in the morning, literally, you have to switch on the lights as well.
And sometimes cleaning, right? You know, I've landed up in trainings, and the big corporate executive Intel, pehle you start taking yourself very seriously, and the other thing is, don't take yourself so seriously that you get trapped in your own image. And that is a big thing that I would really ask young people to watch out for. Don't get trapped in an image. Don't get trapped in what this, like Manav is a fast bowler. That was a trap. Of course, I was a fast bowler, but I could reinvent myself. If I could be a fast bowler, I could be a technologist, I could be a business person, I could be a philanthropist, I could be a teacher, trainer. We all have the ability to brand and go into anything that we want to do. Right? So I think meaningful experience is important. As long as your life is giving you meaningful experiences, collect memories, collect meaningful experiences, and accidentally you will discover what you want to be. And I'm a big believer of that life is discovered through meaningful and good experiences than what you can learn inside a wall behind a computer. Go out, meet people, experience what humanity looks like. You know, what is beyond the textbooks, right? Beyond the nice books.
So Manav, going back to your journey of building 1M 1B, so Gupt Kashi happened. Then after that, so what did you?
So Gupt Kashi became boring.
Yes.
Right, and you have to overcome.
So did you start a school already in Gupt Kashi?
I started a team.
Okay.
I raised money.
Okay.
I went to the Uttarakhand NRIs in San Francisco.
Okay.
I raised money, and I started a project. And the project didn't go well. Not that it didn't have the intense, the passion, the team, everything was good. But when you go and work in the hinterlands, you uncover a lot of things that has not been told to you.
Yes.
In any YouTube or any textbook. Because you think that I will serve, but it's a different feeling when you realize that nobody wants you. Like you're a nuisance. And it's not a good feeling.
You want to serve, but people don't want to be served.
You're suddenly talking about village level entrepreneurs, and they said, nahi chahiye sir. क्यों परेशान कर रहे हो मैं? We are happy in this life, or give us a job today, not tomorrow, today. So don't talk about all this fancy stuff, creating an enterprise, raising money. We need food on the table today. You don't have that problem, we have that problem. So, and when the rubber hits the road, reality hota hai, it's different. It was time to wind up.
Yes.
But then you reinvent yourself. You said, okay, what can I do? What can I do? Because I didn't want to go back to a corporate. I
So
wanted to.
what do you do then, Manav? Because a lot of time, I mean, most of the times when people and the first time people don't realize that as glamorous as it looks, CEO doing CEO things, founder doing founder things, none of that is all far from reality. The reality is that you try something, it doesn't work. You try something, it doesn't work. And the trick is not finding the right thing as early as possible. The trick is to just keep going. Yeah. But how do you keep going? I mean, I can only imagine that you had this idea, this beautiful setting. I still think you should do it. I'm sure you're eventually going to do this setting up a skills academy, or
I'm doing it in a different area now.
I think Gupt Kashi also you should do it. But the key stakeholder saying that nahi chahiye, we don't want. And then you have to go back to the drawing board that the basic premise was flawed. What do I do now? So how do you overcome that adversity?
So managing ego is important. And again, I wish that skill is taught in schools. How do you manage your ego? Ego management skills of others and yourself, and not taking yourself too seriously. But when you're out there and you're thinking of doing a job and not doing a job and doing all this and it's not working out, how do you manage it? Is it like sab kuch bekar hai duniya mein? You can't be like a rebel, right? You can be a rebel, or you can say, what can I do different? And I think when you're in love with your idea, that's when problem happens. But when you're in love with the problem, you'll keep going. So what is the problem you're solving? I want people to have an independent life. The idea of 1M1B, 1 million for 1 billion is creating a million change makers, creating a million entrepreneurs who are impacting 1 billion people. Yeah. And that is the problem I want to solve is I want a resilient society that is not dependent on governments or cooperation, but we can take care of each other. You are having ecosystems that is thriving, small economies that are thriving themselves. You don't need a job and the government or the big companies to give you a job. You can create your own job. So what I was in love with is introducing people to their own creator. And introducing them and telling them that you can create a life that you want for yourself and you don't have to be dependent. So an independent life is what I was very passionate about, and taking that independence and free thinking to the village is what I am still very passionate about, that anything can be done, any skill could be learned, any enterprises could be created, resources could be mobilized, fundraising can happen.
So 1M, 1B is more of a non-profit kind of organization, or is it for profit?
It's a social impact organization. It has a non-profit in it. It has a LLP in it. It has a private limited company in it. So 1M1B is a philosophy. It's a purpose. Yeah. And then there are vehicles that helps you achieve your goals. A large part of it is philanthropy, but a big part of it is also a private limited company.
And that is how you marry the money-making part to what you want to serve as a purpose as well.
Exactly, and I think money follows purpose. Yeah. I'm a big believer of if you're doing the right thing, you get the salaries, you get the designations, you get the money. Money always follows intention. That's the nature of money I believe in. Yeah. Conscious money follows good intentions. And I've always seen that happen, whether in a large company or whether working with governments or whether working with philanthropists and CSR organization. If you're up to doing something big, people want to be part of it. People want to fund it. And though it's not easy, I don't want to glamorize it. Entrepreneurship is
because
glamorized.
When you started you became an entrepreneur, this was in 2015. By that time, actually, entrepreneurship was fairly established in India, isn't it? I mean, there were a lot of Shobhit was an entrepreneur already in 2013, I recall, and we had a system where entrepreneurship was thriving, or at least people were aware of it and wanted to be. And so, how did you make this choice of going for somewhat non-profit, or the way I see it is an enabler for the ecosystem, and not just going and build something where you can earn a lot of money,
yeah,
which you could have done.
You could have done, because you had this stellar stint at decade-long stint at Intel, where you did work across with all these different governments in conflict zones as well. You could have just started a for-profit, and you could have said, I'm going to take equity in this company, and which is what most founders do. But you chose a very different path. So what was the driver? And also, you work. Your co-founder is your sister, Swati, which goes again. It's a bit of a contrarian view because most people, although we are also friends and we started together, but generally it's a common saying that don't work with friends and family. So you did two sort of very different things at once. You decided I'm going to do a purpose-driven organization, not a traditional for-profit setup, and then secondly, you started with your sister.
So answering your first question, I never thought of being an entrepreneur. If you had told me it was never a kind of a script. Entrepreneurship happened, and I think it happens when you are up to solving a problem. I wanted to solve a problem, and it's not like, oh, let's become an entrepreneur and let's do a course. Entrepreneurship happens. And then you go and acquire the skills that you are needed, but first fall in love with the problem you want to solve, and first, if that is the problem you're solving, and then acquire the skill set, make the right organization. And this problem I wanted to solve was in Grassroots, it required a non-profit, right? And then when I started working with large companies, I realized that, large companies wanted this to also be part of their PO business. So they didn't want to give me philanthropy money. So they started a private limited company with it.
Yeah. I mean, and I think more important is going after a problem and leaving a very cushioned lifestyle, a job where you were making decent amount of money, you had security, your family growing up, you have kids, and then taking a decision to start something on your own, solving a problem for which you said you required a certain kind of setup, but not going after money on day one is what is commendable, and something which I think the young audience would also want to contemplate about, that how do you go after your passion and what you want to do, and then money follows.
Yeah, and I think today all this is very glamorized. Once your rubber hits the road, when you get into the trenches, things are very different. So I think you need to do a reality check, but I mean, my advice right now is, if you pursue something, keep at it. Don't give it up. Pivot yourself. That does not mean you don't change. Pivot, right? Sometimes you're following a different path. If A does not work, B will work, C will work. Experiment things out.
So be obsessed with solving the problem rather than a specific way, the how of
the why is important. The why am I doing it is more important than the what and the how. That can be changed, that can be pivoted. And Shobhit, you were asking this question when I realized that the bigger problem is healthcare. I looked who I have, and Swati, my sister, had a very accomplished degree and a stellar career in healthcare. So when I was going for education, I realized no, healthcare is more important than education. Skilling is important, but first, getting doctors to the village is more important. And I was saying building trust is important, so I thought healthcare will get me trust, and then I'll do the skilling. Right. And that's how I approached Swati. And Swati and I have been like each other's best friend right from childhood. So it has helped from that perspective. Of course, I trouble her a lot, being the older brother. But she gets in the.
So you convinced her to join you on this journey, yeah? Because working with friends itself is very challenging. Yeah? We are friends, co-founders. It's already incredibly difficult. Working with family is all the more challenging. So
And for that also, so would you recommend young people to seek? I mean, should they start businesses, companies with friends, family, or do you suggest that try to do it outside?
I'll say start with the right person. Whoever that right person is, don't get limited to मुझे family के साथ नहीं करना, मुझे friend के साथ नहीं करना. Whoever is the right person, start that. Some people say, no, we are good friends and we should start a business together and let's figure out what to. I mean, that's also one approach. But in this case, it was, let's do the right thing, and whatever And important thing was that I wanted somebody I could fail with. I was sure this is more a failure journey than a success story. Like, so I wanted somebody you can fail with, say sorry, nahi chala.
I'm sure 1M, 1B itself, the journey has not been, it never is a straight line, and I'm sure you would have faced your own set of challenges, financial difficulties. Can you point to one time when you felt that, okay, this is a near-death experience, or this is going to be, this is it, this is over, and somehow you and the team found the will to turn this around?
So once it happened in 2016 to late 2015, where I got an opportunity to work in Andhra with the then Chief Minister, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu. I was working in a village, and it didn't work out. We lost funding, we lost our sponsors, we lost the team, and we had to wrap up. And wrap up means lose the team. So the village dream ended there, because this was my second attempt after Uttarakhand to work in an Andhra village. I'd had a team of Telugu speaking young professionals, I was trying. It didn't work out again, and the funding went out. I had to give up the team completely. So that was a difficult time. Tried to then go back to some government organizations, central government organization, to raise money. I started again, then the money didn't come in again, so it was time to go back home. It was a third failure in a way, and then said, okay, I had lost my team, and then it was, what can I do still? And then I went back to my corporate network and all my corporate friends, and I said, look, I'm in a bad state. And I thought one of the things that has helped is authentically sharing that I'm not doing well, versus covering it up and posing. And when failure is part of our life, when things go bad, I think owning a failure and declaring a failure is the first step to overcoming a failure.
And showing your vulnerability is not a bad thing. It actually helps, and especially those are the situations when you find real friends and people who can help you.
Yeah, and when you and I'm saying, when you're up to bigger things. So one of my friends, she said, we're going to back you up. She was handling a big fund, and she said, we need people like you, but with your grassroots experience, can you marry AI? So at that time, AI buzz was happening.
This was what, 2016, 2017?
And large companies, because I had the Intel experience, I was working with this one of my friends, she was in a very large company, and she said, if you marry because we need people who understands the grassroots, and now you understand it. We need somebody who understands corporate, and you understand it. We need somebody who understands technology, you understand it. Can you get it all together and dilute from your vision a bit, but introduce technology?
Yeah.
So I said, I'll do it. So AI was accidental, but I landed up getting into the government advisory boards because of that. I landed up restructuring the AI discussion for the grassroots.
Listening to your story, Manav, it's the Manav, the cricketer, the engineer, the corporate executive, and then the social entrepreneur. One thing that I take away is you pretty much everything that you give your time and energy to, and when I say everything, I mean skills or experiences that you gain. At the moment, it might seem like I spent these many years trying for cricket, it didn't work out, or I studied engineering, what's the point? But when you look back, and in your case with 1M, 1B, it seems like it's a culmination of all of those skills and all of those experiences they've proven handy. Your experience at even the first 3 failures at 1M, 1B, while they seem like failures, they have contributed to something much larger. That fund happened to back you because you had experience of a big corporate and because you had a grassroots experience. So I think there is a subtle message there that you increase the surface area of experiences and skills that you can develop, because even for that specific thing, it may not work out, but it never goes to waste.
Never. I think having skills and experiences, you can all pack it together, and suddenly you have a very unique, unfair advantage. And I'm a big believer of unfair advantages. Look at your strengths, look at your experiences, bundle them up somehow, So if you are passionate about biology, if you're passionate about design, if you're passionate about movie making, combine all of that and make a movie for healthcare reforms.
Yeah.
So there are interesting ways you can combine your passion together and your skill set together, which could become your unfair advantage, which can set you apart.
And one of the components or ingredients in that packaging today could be AI, because you pick any kind of discipline. It could be sports, it could be creating content, it could be you might be passionate about, let's say, healthcare for whatever reason, and you marry that with AI, and you have potentially something disruptive as well.
That's correct. And I would say, if I were to go back to a 21-year-old or a younger person, I would say definitely go and spend some time in the grassroots. Spend some time with people. Go and sit in a kirana store. Look how business is happening. Go and travel in a metro. Go and take a train ride. Figure out how does India work.
No experience goes to waste. Yeah. So you should experience as much. But going back to your 1M 1B thing, you also partnered with UN for a bunch of stuff. Yeah. So what was the story behind that? And also UN, given sometimes it's considered to be a political organization. Why did you choose UN of all the places?
So something that I really advocate for and believe in is make your own one-line identity card. Okay, because you're saying, okay, I'm a social entrepreneur at the door.
And there's a recall value to this.
There's a big recall value. So 1M1B is the organization that works in the UN. Done. Now tell me what you do.
Good elevator pitch as well. People keep struggling. When they start their companies, they keep being told that you need to have a good elevator pitch.
But most of them, they need 50 floors in the building to be able to complete a pitch.
This is like, 2 floors and you can give this pitch.
But I think a one-line identity is important when you're up to something. So if you're saying 1M1B is a UN organization, if you're talking about who Manav is, Manav is a ex-Intel guy who worked with UC Berkeley and is now left his job, gone to the grassroots. It is you don't have to talk much.
So on UN, for a young person that is looking at these young kids that are addressing the United Nations, it's an absolutely stunning image. And those who want to be part of that group, what are you looking for?
So one is a passion and a problem they want to solve which is beyond themselves. I want to solve something which is greater than themselves, and then showing that they can do it. We do something called a selection process through this program called the Changemakers World Cup. So we run Changemakers World Cup, which is like, if IPL could take out the best talent in the country in cricket, can the change-making talent come through the Changemakers World Cup? It's the premier.
But it's in India only, or is it like rest of the world as well?
We are doing it in the rest of the world as well now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because we've done it in India. Now we want to expand to the rest of the world. We want to make change-making as a norm. And you could be a change maker and you could get a seat on the table and you could be directly talking to the UN diplomats. And that's the dream, that the talent should not wait. If you are a teenager, if you're early 20s, if you have an idea that can change the world, we want to meet them and we take them to the UN.
You have been doing all this social entrepreneurship and you have been in this sector for quite some time now, Manav. What are some of the problems which people should look to solve? If someone who is 20 years old, 25 years old and looking to get into this sector and is passionate about, what are some of the problems which has high impact which they should look to solve?
When people say I'm not a climate change professional, I think everybody should be a climate change professional now. The world is changing. Healthcare system are changing.
So unlike Trump, you believe in climate change?
Oh, big time. It's happening. It's happening big time. And you feel it more when you go to the villages. You see farmer stress, you feel droughts, you see the water stress, you see the diseases spreading. It's a lot to do with that.
So beyond climate change, what else? What are some of the other problems which people can
See,
solve?
climate change is a superset. Healthcare is a big element of it. Skilling is a big element of it. Smart cities, smart villages. There's so many things. But the very fact that I can create a water-saving energy meter, right? I can create a sensor that can help a farmer use pesticides effectively. So the application is a lot in that. But I think if you drill down to that, I think healthcare is a big area. Education still remains a big area because you want to have educated people, you want to have skilled people, according to me, and energy. Energy is a big area.
And so, given that Gen Z is so much aware about everything in world, I think it's a right kind of segment for people to actually work on.
Yeah.
Amongst the Gen Z.
Yeah, and food. Food is a big area. Urban farming, urban agriculture is a big area. So there's so many opportunities. The only thing I would just a disclaimer is make sure there is somebody who's ready to fund you. So often we are too starry eyes and we just follow a passion. We don't think about a revenue model. I think what has been traditionally not been part of it is when you think social, you don't think revenue. Please think revenue.
So thinking revenue, I believe thinking revenue is right, but getting a backer to fund may not necessarily be a key criteria to start something which you are passionate about, isn't it? Because capital is never a moat in whatever you want to do.
But you figure out where is the funding channels, where is the philanthropy funding going, where is the social impact funding going. You look at first, is my area that I want to do, is it a hobby, is it a weekend adventure, or do I want to give my life to it? Because that discussion can change everything. So you can still do meaningful stuff and continue your job, right? You don't have to leave your job.
Okay, maybe last few questions, Manav. One was on your decision-making process. So you have taken series of bold decisions, You actually continued to play cricket for quite late, Usually people leave it quite early. Engineering, you decided very early on that this is not for you. Intel, you took a series of bold decisions as well. You had a very good career. And then eventually you switched and started 1M, 1B. So amongst all these decisions, which one would you say had the most impact in your life and which helped you revamp your life?
Two of them. One is accepting I am not good enough in cricket and leaving it. Had I not left it, I would have just pursued and probably hit a dead end. At that time there was no IPL as well. So the opportunities were not there.
So no multi-million career out of cricket?
No, could have happened. So just realizing your own limitations, I think it was very hard, but that was very difficult. But what I value that a lot today, being kind to my younger self. The other is what scares me even today, though it's been 11 years out of a corporate job, but it scares me, how did I make that decision of leaving a corporate job? Because life is not as rosy as is, the Instagram tells you. Social impact is the most difficult area to get into. Following your dream is hard. Just leaving something that is so well curated, you have a family who's looking at all the nice stuff that you bring in, including money and the life that goes with it. But those are two big decisions that I value, which changed everything.
What does success look like to Manav?
Money, of course. Wealth, of course. Health, very important. And family, non-negotiable. All together, not one or the other or something. It can all come together.
And to your younger self, a 20-year-old Manav, is there something that you would say to him?
I'll say, don't take life so seriously.
Did you when you were 20-year-old?
Yeah, see, cricket, like I'll be a cricketer, I'll be cricketer. You're like too serious about everything. I won't go to parties, I won't do anything. I won't experiment with my life because I'm a cricketer. I got an opportunity to act in a play. My mother is a professor, she's a theatre enthusiast. I got an opportunity, I went on stage just because my mother told me, and after that I got an opportunity to work in one of the television serials. And I said, I'm a cricketer. I won't do this. Right? So I like, let's see what what are the opportunities that are coming your way. Be open to opportunities and go for it.
And so today, if you started, if you're 20-year-old today and you were playing cricket, would you give up easily?
No. I won't give up because now is IPL. I'll use my diplomatic skills to hustle to make sure I get an entry into the team.
Which team?
Delhi. I'm still a Delhi guy.
You can take a person out of Delhi, but you can't take Delhi out of a
But
person.
Delhi cricketers are really aggressive. You don't think so? You look at Kohli, you look at Sehwag, you look at Gambhir.
Yeah.
And then you compare them with people in Mumbai. You have Sachin Tendulkar.
Or Bangalore, Dravid, Kumble.
Bangalore, Dravid.
That's why I couldn't survive that, right? Because I was never I was a Delhi boy, but I was not the Delhi boy, right? But I still love Delhi. I don't stay there, and I don't want to stay there because of all the thing. I find Bangalore very peaceful. Karnataka is my home. Bangalore is my home.
Do you think Gambhir should continue as Indian coach?
Yes. Yes.
Across all formats.
Yes.
Because he's from Delhi.
Yes. I mean, like you're close to the World Cup. You can't be making good or bad now. Go with that decision. Make him successful. He has got a thoughtful and a philosophy. Let's make it happen versus doing last minute changes is not going to happen. The thing I would say, decide a captain. Don't experiment with the team so much. You need a solid team that goes into the World Cup.
Okay, maybe we'll start with few rapid fire questions, Manav. So, between cricket and corporate life, which has more politics?
Cricket is like huge politics. Corporate, you can still survive, you can get around, but comparatively, yeah, both are political, but cricket is hugely political.
If we eventually see a biopic on your life, which actor should play Manav?
I don't know.
Ranveer Singh?
No way, Ranveer Singh.
Amir Khan?
Amir Khan, Shah Rukh Khan have done something. I don't relate to Bollywood at all.
Okay, Hollywood.
Hollywood, yeah,
Okay,
sure.
Hollywood.
You
Or
made it more
Tollywood.
complicated. Let's come back to Bollywood, right? Let me change the conversation. One, if I were to play something, which was that Salman Khan movie where he rescued a girl? Bajrangi Bhaijaan. I would love to play Bajrangi Bhaijaan.
I think you have done things very close to that in your life. So
That moved me. The MS Dhoni biopic is stunning. Three Idiots, my favorite.
Three Idiots was shot in our
campus. I am Bangalore.
When we were studying there. So
Yeah.
some of our friends are in that.
And Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara. I have watched that like maybe 50 times or not less. Yeah.
Okay, overrated life advice a lot of people give you and which you think is BS.
जल्दी से settle हो जाओ.
Modi as a chief minister, Modi as a prime minister?
Prime Minister.
Kohli or Tendulkar?
Tendulkar.
Okay, Bumrah or Wasim Akram?
Wasim Akram any day. Oh, he's God.
I don't
Wasim
think the Gen Z population will agree.
Yeah, I know that. Right. Wasim Akram, Shoaib Akhtar. If you look at my Instagram, it's only these clips that I keep on watching of these Wasim Akram and Shoaib Akhtar.
That also tells you how good Sachin was, especially the 2003 World Cup India-Pakistan match where he faced Wasim, Waqar, Shoaib Akhtar, and India was chasing some 274 and he was hitting.
Pakistan team at that time was unbeatable, right? What a team.
Okay, Wasim Akram or Malcolm Marshall?
Wasim Akram. Though I copied all the action and I got so confused. I was doing one Malcolm Marshall, Wasim Akram, then I did Waqar Yunus, then I did Shoaib Akhtar, and my coach was saying, "Kya ho gaya bhaiya, tujhe kya kar raha hai?"
Which bowler has the best action?
I think Shoaib Akhtar. What a action! What a run
Not
up.
Waqar Yunus?
No, the smoothness of Shoaib Akhtar, right, running from the boundary, right, and bowling at 160 kilometers an hour. Wow, what a ball!
Not Bumrah.
No, not like Bumrah I admire, but these are cricketers I copied.
If you could bowl to one over to any batsman, which one would that be?
Tendulkar.
What result would you expect?
Just elegantly defending it. Or just saying, what a ball, Manav.
But he might actually say that because apparently when he's asked who are some of the toughest bowlers that he's faced, he doesn't say a Shoaib Akhtar or Wasim or Courtney Walsh. He says
Aqib Javed.
Aqib Javed, Abdul Razak, Hansi Cronier, these are all these weird half-time, part-time bowlers. He says were the most difficult bowlers that he had ever faced. So maybe.
So you're telling me I'm not at that level, or I'm further worse, right?
Okay, what advice would you give to the Gen Z?
I would say, don't be that intense, because sometimes I've seen these Gen Zs, they show something, but inside they are nervous. They are scared because they are coming from some of them are coming from very affluent family. Dad is from IIT, IIM, Stanford. What else can I do, right? And the expectation load is so much. I would say change the conversation. Find a meaningful career, find a purpose which your parents didn't follow, and follow that. Create a name for yourself. Creating money is easy. Creating a name is so hard. Go and create a name for your family. Do stuff that matters. Collect memories. Life is a bundle of great memories. Collect experiences. Learn from experiences, not books.
Thank you.